Hello, and welcome to Weed and Grub.
We start by popping that lighter in, yo.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me show it to the camera since we're going to put this on YouTube.
Okay.
Ah! The Seth Rogen car lighter that weighs as much as a car. It's beautiful, made of marble.
Green marble, and yeah, pop that baby in.
Pop
there
the
you
top.
go.
All right.
So exciting.
So as it heats up, what are we smoking for this episode?
This is Stone Road Farms. It's a queer-owned cannabis brand based in Nevada City, California. Our friend Caitlin Perry, Shoot People, shot the bulletin board. What is
The
it called?
bulletin board, you know, at the local college where they're doing acoustic guitar.
Oh, the billboard.
Yeah, the billboard.
Wow. The billboard that was here in LA advertising Stone Road was so gorgeous. It popped. There we go. So excited for this. That lights so nicely.
It'll last forever too, just like a car lighter. Like, this is such Seth Rogen, man. Anyway, Stone Road Farms. Follow him on IG at Stone Road Farms. We are smoking Tropicana Punch, a balanced hybrid.
Ooh, that's super tasty.
Yeah.
Super, super smooth. Lovely. Delicious. Man, it's so nice to see you.
Fuck, I love that.
It's so nice to see you and share a joint with you, Mike. Hi.
Welcome back to LA, Mary Jane. Thank you for being here. I know that we were gonna have a guest today, but man, I'm just glad to rock with you and reconnect and just do a loose ass moose together.
Oh, it's really great to just like see you and hang and take a moment, because I don't know, for anyone who listens to the show often, maybe you noticed that I was out of town for a while and we were doing Zoom remote recordings, which is, you know, also a great way to hang out, but I do just miss like hanging with you and sessioning with you in person so much. So this is like a really great week where I'm back in LA, and then I'll be heading back up to Washington because I'm spending a lot of time up there right now taking care of some family stuff. So
Do you want to leave it at family stuff?
yeah, for now, for sure. But I'm really, you know, one of the things about being able to go back and forth, I've just been counting my blessings and, you know, how we have built our world so that we are able to continue doing the stuff that we do, and also working on our individual projects remotely. Like, this year has been like a masterclass in fucking learning how to be flexible with shit, and it's enabling me to go and continue to do as much as I can while I'm in Washington. I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful to you for, I don't know, continuing to make stuff work with me.
Yeah, I mean, yo, real talk. There have been, as you've had to travel back and forth and do what you're doing, there have been several times when I was like, are we going to be able to keep doing this hot pod together? And there were times when I was like, I don't think that we can. And then there were other times where it's like, fuck yeah, we recorded all the way through the pandemic, like ride or die, baby. We shook hands on the beach a year ago because every year we shake hands with each other to have a contract that we are going to make this fucking podcast for another year, and we shook on it. So shut up, Mike. We shook. And we shook.
Yeah, that's it. I know they're like, I think, you know, I listen to so many podcasts where they're duos and they record in all kinds of different ways. And so many of the duos, you know, it's really dependent on, like, the pod is just their vibe, right? Like, there are so many awesome reported podcasts where people are like really sticking to a script. And then there are the ones that I really love that are kind of like us, where there's like people having a great time and a hang.
Yeah.
And I've heard the ups and downs in so many of those relationships through this year. And that's as interesting to me as anything. Like, if they're having kind of a weird blue day, that's almost as interesting to listen in on as when someone's just like solidly always a super fun, great time. And so I'm just really grateful to you as well for like kind of rocking with me through all of my ups and downs. And I don't know, to anyone who like tunes in and listens to us as we kind of like figure out all of our stuff as best as we can along with the rest of the fucking world, you know? With weed as like a great booster seat to like sit up a little higher in the chair.
That's so funny. Would you like a booster seat? Oh, we don't have children. No, that's not what
I'm talking about weed. Do you just want to smoke a joint so you feel a little higher up in your chair? Literally.
Weed, the ultimate booster seat. Fucking right. Well,
TM.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Thank you for saying that. I mean, we have so much we will talk about, but I'd like to say, on the note of being able to hear the highs and lows and people that you listen to and do all of that, it reminds me about how we've been watching Top Chef and watching every single episode with you, whether we're together or remotely. And when Tom Colicchio said, this plate tastes like fear, like you can taste this person not trusting themselves in the kitchen with this plate of food. And that always makes me think about when I listen to podcasts and you can just hear like life. You can just hear life in the pod, and you can taste a plate of food that could taste like fear. Like it is all out there.
I think honestly, when it's good and when it's right, it's all out there for me. You know, like I think that there are people who just put on the great show all the time and you can never really hear what's happening behind the scenes. I think they're the Steve Harveys of the world.
Sure.
Where, you know, that guy probably has some like weird dark stuff happening backstage, but he's always the same. And
that's why he's the best host who's ever lived.
It's the equanimity. It's just like people tune in to make sure that they're always getting that same thing. I love seeing the bumps in the road and like hearing people talk about like just all of it. You know, like hearing a comedian talk about when they're having a hard fucking time, a lot of people are like, shut up and stick to jokes. I'm like, that's the interesting stuff. Comedians are like the weirdest, most fucked up people. I want to hear comedians talk about like mental health and stress and trauma and grief as much as I want to hear them talk about jokes. Like that's my favorite kind of stuff is Hannah Gadsby cracking open her rib cage and showing the world her fucking heart and soul. And people were like, that's not stand-up. I was like, but is it art? Fuck. Yes. It's art. And that's much more important art to me than someone doing great joke math, which is its own thing. But like what I'm interested in, what attracts me is that you know, true, like all of it.
And those people who are like, it's not stand-up are missing the entire point, because that is such an uninteresting debate to me.
Right.
What kind of box can we put this art in is the most uninteresting conversation I can think of.
Right. Like if you can accurately describe your favorite artwork in 10 words or less, I would question that you should look deeper and find some more interesting art.
I think so. That's why, that's why they made me write like 3 pages on the Pearl and not just like a paragraph.
Yeah.
When I had to do a book report. Yeah, they didn't choose a book that I could really coast on. It had to be some Hemingway.
Get some stuff that you can dig into. Yeah. So, I'm just like, it's just, I don't know, I'm rambling a bit about it now because I'm stoned, but like I'm digging into a bunch of different corners of my life right now, and some of them are like counting my blessings and finding the highs where I can to get me through and fuel me, and some of them are like looking at some stuff that's really tough and like reading up on grief literacy or, you know, like concepts that will help you get through harder times that are sometimes hard to contemplate. So it's like there's a lot in this life raft with me right now, and I'm bobbing up and I'm bobbing down.
Right.
And I'm using that weed booster seed. That's a lot of mixed metaphors. She's in a life raft with a booster seed? What kind of weed is she smoking?
See, the life raft represents...
The life raft is an edible, and the weed booster seed is a joint. And that's how I'm floating.
Well, we go. This is kind of a special one.
Yeah.
What up, Mary Jane?
How's it going, Mike?
It's going great. It's so good to see you. How are you?
It's so good to see you. How are you?
Hi. Welcome to Weed and Grub, everybody. This is a podcast about comedy,
cannabis,
culture,
cooking,
and calling shit out, and...
friends. Being real.
Hit it. Fucking real.
Just seeing people again.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice, I have to say. I've in traveling and in seeing more than the 10-block radius around my apartment in LA that I've seen for the past year.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting watching people venture forth, the world kind of, you know, slowly.
Do you feel guilty if you're not wearing a mask at all times?
An interesting point to ask me. I do. Yeah. So I traveled, I was in all public places, you know, airport, ferry, all that. And it was totally fine. Everyone was very respectful.
Okay, because I am mad. I'm airport nervous, undoubtedly. Like, as somebody who already doesn't trust a tube of people breathing.
Why would you?
Why would
That's
you?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The science behind that does not support a healthy environment. You know, I had a nut buffer when I flew to Newfoundland a few years ago because I'm fucking terribly allergic to peanuts. And they made the row in front of me and the row behind me peanut-free zones.
Ooh.
And on my ticket, it was called a nut buffer zone. And we had jokes for days about that. But the point being that
some guy's like about to
get his nuts bugged. But the point being, like, I am super allergic to peanuts, and they kept 3 rows, like, peanut dust free. What do you think is happening with anything floating around in that cabin? Like,
yeah.
It's great. I don't want to go too far down that road because it could get weird, but...
I feel you, though.
Yeah, you're nervous about it.
I'm nervous about the world.
Yeah, you should be nervous.
Every single movie... I haven't watched one movie that has to do with what we've just lived through and are living through right now that ended well.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's only 2 hours and Dustin Hoffman killing it. So, like, what does the real world
What
look
was
like?
the movie?
Outbreak. With the monkeys.
Oh, that's so old.
I know. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one.
Is that the one with Gwyneth Paltrow?
I'm not sure. I don't like her.
Okay, I could talk about that for days, but let's be nice. Yeah,
Anyway.
So you're nervous about flying.
Yeah, but you said it was fine.
It was totally fine. I encountered a few people who were like clearly, only wearing the mask just when they absolutely fucking had to and they were fucking over it. And I was like, I also feel you on that. If you're just willing to like put it on while we're all still doing this thing together, fucking great. And I didn't see anyone being weird about it at all. I feel like I heard someone yell at someone else to put their mask on at some point. Whatever. It was just like,
Cool, because that
so
proves my theory of how either those videos are no longer existing out in the world, or the algorithm that keeps you hooked into the constant if it bleeds, it leads news cycle of social media. Like
beast.
Those aren't being pushed up into the top of the algorithm anymore, or they're not existing as much. And either way, I'm not seeing them. So It's nice to know, as someone who has actually been in the world, that there might be fewer and farther between at this point.
I hope so. And maybe it is just the fucking algorithm that's moved on to like other more heinous fucking shit that's happening on the planet.
Of course. But that's what its job is.
Right. That the beast needs to move on.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience in traveling, taking planes, light rail, ferry, all the stuff, everyone was doing their best to just be fine and normal.
Cool.
With masks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. When you flew, do you want to tell the Archie story?
Didn't I already talk about the Archie story?
Maybe on the Patreon. Did you know we have a Patreon, everybody? You can check it out. It's only $2, $5, or $8 a month. This month is going to be a lot of loose mooses that we are going to be banking as a power hour. Is that right?
We're going to try. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how much we're going to get through.
We're going to get through all of it.
It's going to be great. patreon.com/weedandgrub. And so maybe I talked about this on there, the experience of flying with Archie the dog after the year plus that we've been not flying together. And he's so accustomed to, he's such a good little flyer. He's, I had the paperwork to just fly with him as an emotional support animal, and so he would come with me in the bag. And then
because he'd be nervous if you left, right? So that's what it was. It was actually his certificate.
We're very codependent. We're equally fucking nervous. But anyway.
You both have little certificates.
Yeah. For sure. He's got his own little in his collar. But yeah, so you can't do that anymore because, people brought pigs and peacocks on as emotional support animals. Mm-hmm. So that was rescinded, which I understand. But now he has to get jammed into a bag, and he was so stressed out about it, and I had to zip it. He did a stress poop in the airport, and then I jammed him in a bag and I zipped it shut.
Jesus Christ.
Poor motherfucker.
When you put it like that, it's so real.
Yeah, it was like a kidnapping. It was terrible. It was like that bag rolled up and he got zipped into it and then shoved under a seat.
And then he woke up in a new land.
And then he woke up in a place that smelled all different, and he pissed all over the airport floor in Seattle.
I'd pee my pants too.
Anyway, people were helpful. Is that the story you wanted me to tell?
It is, but it wasn't as funny this time.
It was like 0 funny.
Before it was like kind of jovial and had some bright spots.
No, I kidnapped and tortured my dog, and he was so stressed out that he pissed all over the airport floor. I'm so sorry, Archie. Jesus, this is not okay. Yeah, the first time I told it, I think I really tried to make it okay.
You nailed it.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
Don't normalize torturing your dog.
I just forget you can't explain to dogs anything.
No, they don't know anything. You were asking me, because Archie is in Washington, which is crazy right now. I'm separated from Mr. Archie Moon, and you were like, do you want to FaceTime him? I was like, you can FaceTime a dog.
It didn't occur to me how much that would break their brain.
That would be another form of torture. Yeah. He would be so upset. Where is she?
He's looking for your legs.
I think it would just be like heartrending for him. He has to at all times either be touching me or looking at me. And if he could hear me without doing either, he'd think it was like some kind of weird ghost.
That's crazy to think about. Ugh. Wow, it is so fucked up if you do that to a dog.
Have you seen the shit where people will like put up a sheet in front of them and then like run out from behind the sheet to freak and then the sheet drops? It's like a magic trick for the dog, and the dogs are like horrified.
Horrified.
That's not okay. Like, don't tell your kid that you're going to leave him behind in a mall, and don't fuck with dogs with sheets.
Is that a viral trend, Mary Jane?
No, I just think they're forms of emotional torture and abuse. I don't think you should tell your kid that you're leaving him at the mall, because that happened to me when I was a kid.
Right.
Obviously, I'm still upset about it. And I don't think you should do sheet magic with dogs. Just don't do it.
Don't
it's
do
mean.
this. Yeah.
And it fucks them up. Speaking as a fully grown person who's like still, I'm not, okay, can I tell you a story?
Always.
I was in Ireland with my dad and my boyfriend at the time. I don't know, my late 20s at this point. And my dad and my boyfriend like went on to the next door while I stopped to like get some money out of the ATM or something. And I went into the next door and they weren't there. And I had a flashback all the way back to whenever it was that I was 5 or 6 and I was lost at the mall. And I had a full-on adult meltdown. I was like, where are you? And I went into like all the stores around because it was like kind of a strip mall situation. And I'm like, I remember just being in a bathroom, like splashing cold water in my face and hyperventilating because I was so freaked out. And then they came back and they like crossed the street to go look at a thing. And then and they were like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I'm traumatized from a childhood event.
That's so wild.
So I have some abandonment fears and issues.
It's okay. It happened to Tony Soprano too. Don't feel bad.
That's right. I'm in good company.
Yeah.
Or terrible company.
He's amazing.
Yeah, okay.
He's amazing.
It's true.
Come on. He's a good earner. We gotta keep him around. So good. Yeah, I feel that. Do you want to do some news?
Yeah, let's do some news.
Okay. Our news is presented by somebody.
Yes.
OCB.
Yep.
The Grub Gazette is presented by OCB Rolling Papers, the largest rolling paper brand in the world, crafted naturally since 1918.
OCB offers a full line of plant-to-puff papers made with sustainable fibers farmed from within a 500-kilometer radius of their facility in France, which is powered by 100% green energy.
In 2020, OCB rolled out America's first ultra-thin, slow-burning bamboo rolling papers and cones. They're even-burning, no-tear, GMO-free, and vegan.
Not all rolling papers are created equal. OCB offers a premium smoking experience that we like to call Harmony on High.
Yeah, we do. Ask for OCB wherever you buy your rolling papers and sample the entire line of products. Plus, visit OCBUSA.com and follow OCB on IG at OCB_USA.
Yeah, if you like what we do, please support our sponsors because they support us. So check them out. OCB. Thanks, guys.
And one lucky winner is going to get to fly to France.
Whoa. Cool.
Oh, cool. We just don't.
We'll let OCB know about those details.
Yeah, we will.
In
and
an
then
email.
We'll let you know as well because it's happening.
Thanks for getting us in trouble, Mike.
Well, speaking of trouble, the Grub Gazette this week is that Amazon has backed a federal bill to legalize weed, and it has adjusted its drug testing policy for some workers along those lines to support the MORE Act.
Ah, big trouble. That is big trouble. It's so interesting because it's like it's sort of ostensibly good news, but it feels troublesome.
Always.
Right?
Oh, you mean the one of the 3 corporations that kind of run the world that we all have to deal with because it's too late. There's no turning back.
Right. The corporation run by an evil overlord who is like slowly just milking the world for all of its fucking
rockets, movie
resources.
theaters, Amazon, weed, and he quit. Like.
What are you doing? What's he doing? Tell me.
Yeah, but hang on. Like, because I think we need to separate the man from the company that has so much power that what does this really mean? You know what I mean? Because like me being uncomfortable with Bezos doesn't really matter.
Sure.
I need to separate that and look at Amazon and what it means for them to support the MORE Act. So what they're saying...
Wait, can I say that I don't want to separate them at all because it's much easier to actually pin something on one person and personalize it as opposed to dehumanizing it by talking about it as a corporation. Because like I think the problem with speaking about a company without a spokesperson to really target, like it's so interesting when you talk about Jamie Dimon as the head of, I think it's Chase Bank.
Okay.
You know, you can sort of talk to him as a person about like fucking Katie Porter put him on blast for salary, like why he makes 90 million times more than the lowest paid worker. And you know, it's so great to put a face to that corporation and sort of understand what that fucking business is doing. So I think when we talk about Amazon, it is actually important to talk about the guy who made it what it is because he humanizes it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well said. You're so right. you're so right.
I mean, I think it's just why it's easier. It's easier for everyone's brain to hold on to, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no face of fucking Walmart, and I wish there were. I'm sure there is someone that I don't know about, but
yeah, it's like when you go on any company site, and the whole thing is you and a robot, so there's no one for you to get mad at. You can't actually reach out to someone to get mad at. I want someone to get mad at. And
exactly.
It's Bezos.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to give you a little pushback on that.
The right one. I stand corrected and will now say that as if it was my idea too. Because so here's what Amazon is doing. They're throwing all their weight behind the MORE Act, which would decriminalize cannabis at a federal level, expunge criminal records, and invest in impacted communities, ... supposedly. And they're also changing their corporate drug testing at Amazon so that it no longer includes marijuana in most of its drug screenings, except for positions regulated by the Department of Transportation.
Which is a federal agency.
Yeah.
I think otherwise they're like, we can get away with it at state law if you're not. Governed by a federal agency. That's interesting.
Absolutely. And also, driving in weed, I don't really recommend it. Not a big fan of it.
I cannot. But I have some friends who drive so perfectly when they're stoned because they've just been doing it for a long time and they're really good at it. But of course, no one can recommend driving intoxicated. It's not a good idea. So
the last part of this article also says that they're also adjusting their time off task policy. Because you know how he makes people piss in bottles instead of treating them like humans, and he wishes he could replace everything with robots for efficiency as a warlord, but
Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, but there's people on Earth.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Now I can talk how I feel without. I have nothing to direct the fact that that's what he wishes. They're going to adjust that because what they used to do is have a certain amount of packages that you had to put on something per hour.
Yes.
And they would monitor all of that. For the data.
Did you know that they actually had supervisors who would call drivers and be like, you need to move faster? Like they actually had like a cattle prod position of a person who was monitoring them digitally to then get in touch with them and be like, you need to load more packages faster, deliver more. And I just read a really interesting piece about someone who had that position. They were like, it's the fucking worst because you're calling someone who is doing their best to tell them they have to move faster for so little money. Like the whole thing is just
and
crazy.
All I think of is a
fucking
whip.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's many levels of fuckery.
They're saying they're going to look into adjusting that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. Look into it.
And
fix it.
Look into it?
Fuck faces. And if you're going to fucking get on board with federally legalizing weed, then please don't do what you've done to every other industry that we know you're going to do, which is just suck it up and make it all yours. So, new thing to fight.
New thing to fight, hold accountable. New thing to hold accountable.
I think new thing to fight. Like
there's
an absolute fight in New York when Amazon was trying to, I think, move its headquarters there.
Right. Yeah, they were.
And they had located, they'd scouted a location in, I think it was in Queens and Long Island City, and they fought against it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was actually a really vocal opponent of it and helped the fight, maybe even led the fight. I think she was a primary agitator with getting the state of the city of New York to say, no, we're not going to do this. And they said no. And so many people were so upset about it.
Why? Because of job creation and a
they thought that it would be a good thing for the city. And the long view was that, from a lot of people, and I agree with them, is that it wouldn't have been good for New York at all. So
will you tell that dad story you have really quick about the dam? Story? Wasn't it a dam or something he fought against?
Yeah, sure. Just as a fight against something story?
Well, I think because what you make me think of when it comes to New York fighting against Amazon being there, because that would change the entire ecosystem of New York and its culture.
Yes.
It goes into gentrification, how when I was living in Uptown in Chicago, it went from a place that was just crime-ridden and really forgotten, but then tanning salons started popping up. And you knew that the tanning salon was an indication that somebody new bought the property and was about to flip it into fancy lofts. And getting that shopping center set up around it was step one as you're gonna, move homeless people somewhere else.
The shopping center and a grocery store, and then you put in a fucking CVS.
And so you just make me think of Amazon as just such an ecosystem change that there's no turning back from. Because once its tentacles and hooks are in, those roots go as long as they can. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what you make me think of what your dad fought against and how he was right.
That's so interesting that you would make that association. Yes, absolutely. He fought against dams because they would change the entire ecosystem, because when you dam a river, and that changes the water flow. Like in the case of, there's a huge, the Yangtze River in China, they dammed it and they actually flooded, I don't even know how many towns, but they changed entire civilizations by building this huge dam called the Seven Gorges Dam. And I remember reading about that and my dad talking about it, and he was like, they really don't know how terrible it is, how you're shifting everything when you install that dam. So
Yeah.
Good association or analogy.
Yeah, life's hard, you know?
Yeah.
It is.
Life is fucking hard.
What's that on your phone?
Oh, this is a cool thing that I wanted to bring up that's also maybe problematic and weird, but I think it's neat. I got a press release about this thing called EndoDNA.
Interesting.
So basically it's a DNA test that has been designed, supposedly it's going to provide a personalized report to help you determine what cannabis products are right for you and which to avoid by mapping your endocannabinoid system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so neat because we've talked about it on here about, how DNA testing and like what they're going to be able to do and how the future of weed will actually be when they can like map your entire system and then map, like they're doing it leafly, all of the profile of a plant, the terpenes and the cannabinoids and its entire effect, and figure out exactly what is going to make you feel the way you want to feel.
And now they're doing it from you out instead of out in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this website is called endodna.com. I don't know much about it other than just what I've said from that press release. And it just says, could you be genetically predisposed to an adverse event from cannabis? Maybe you're just one of those people. Like, remember when we were talking to Rachel Burkons?
Yes.
And she was saying her wife, she was like, she just can't smoke. It's not that she doesn't want to. She just can't hang.
Yeah, my friend OLV, shout out OLV on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
DM me, and it's because they like we just started fucking them up. And it was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said their name. Whatever. The point is that, adverse reaction is, if it's avoidable and you can still rock with something, good.
Maybe you can just find a super high CBD to THC ratio, like a 20-to-1, where the THC is still like that, playing that important role. But I don't know, it's just so fascinating. So,
but what's problematic? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's problematic is that it's mapping your DNA. And I think the idea behind that, you and I have had so many conversations about like how you feel. I have pretty strong feelings about 23andMe and that kind of stuff. And
you mean that they sell your data to third parties and it's a trick?
It's a lot to think about.
That the fine print is that is a third party business sales business. It's not about you and your DNA and avoiding heart disease. It is about selling your data from your spit, and that's what the business is.
It's so layered to think about because there are a lot of crime podcasts that I listen to that tout the new DNA that is coming from places like 23andMe that are leading to cold cases being solved. Like the Golden State Killer, who was caught just last year or the year before, had 40 years ago raped and killed several people and was only caught just now because a relative somewhere hit on a database years and years and years later, and it was from one of these services.
Wait, they found a connection to someone through 23andMe that was the link for
his being caught and arrested and convicted.
Wow.
Like they've been looking for him for a very long time, but it was a cold case, and then they finally gotten some DNA evidence that they managed to link to him through a family member that had entered their DNA into some database. So
there is reasons for each of us to be a filing cabinet.
Absolutely.
For
there
the rest
are
of the world.
very good things happening. I mean, in addition to all sorts of cool stuff where they're just like figuring out all of the links in humanity and what we're all made of and what these building blocks look like and all of the science behind that and how fucking cool it is and the fact that it's solving cold cases. But then there's like the, weird, shady sort of side of it where it's being commodified and, sold.
Yes.
It's scary.
Good business to get in though. Oh, the people business.
Biotech.
Ooh, what a nice business to be in. He's a good earner. He gets us redheads at a discount rate.
Oh man, Tony Soprano. Okay, so EndoDNA, really super interested to learn more about it, and we'll report back.
Would you do it?
No, I would not.
Would you do it if you were not in the weed game with the ability to try a lot of stuff?
No.
We're not talking about that.
I don't want to have my DNA mapped.
Yeah.
I won't even have Archie's DNA mapped.
Why? You'll go to a palm reader, but you won't actually get some
exactly.
science facts?
I don't. I just don't want to. I like the magic of not knowing.
Yeah.
For him. I also don't want to spend $185.
But for yourself?
I don't want to have my DNA mapped because I know I don't have any big questions about that kind of stuff. Like years and years and years ago, I had a really amazing gift given to me of a boyfriend's
all my friends
parent. No, I had a fucking genealogy Bible, basically, of my whole family going all the way back forever and ever and ever.
That's amazing.
It's fucking cool.
Wow.
And I know that there are a lot of people who just don't have access to that for a million different reasons.
Sure.
And so I feel pretty fucking lucky to have that. The cool thing for my dad, speaking of my dad, he was born in India, moved to the US or UK when he was little in 1939 when the Second World War broke out. And in this fucking tome of all of this stuff, going back and tracing my family's journeys back, this friend of the family, my ex-boyfriend's mom, had found his passage, the notes of his passage, and like found what's it called, the manifest, the passenger manifest, and his name and the date that he passed through the Suez Canal and like what his effects were, had listed, like, you know,
all of that,
everything. And he was like not someone who was nostalgic or thought a lot in a way about like genealogy. I don't think he was ever interested in it. And I remember him looking at that, and he was old at this point, he was probably 80, and he was like, oh my God, that's so amazing to remember that day all of a sudden. So I think there's lots of that great stuff in it.
I agree, but it's also, I think that a lot of those people who were getting logged at the Suez Canal at that time were saying exactly what we're saying into microphones right now, which is, fuck this, mind your business,
right.
None of yours. Like, I don't think that's changed, whether it was written in a log or not, and, you know.
Wow, do you hate the census, Mike?
I hate Mary Jane, we've gone on.
We have. All right.
Look, we went on a long walk before this.
Yes.
And I was saying some shit that I'm not going to say on here.
No, I told you to chill the fuck out.
I yelled at a robot.
I was like, yeah, you yelled at a robot. Okay, we got to tell that story because come on. I mean, I was like, really, Mike? Jesus Christ. We're on this long walk, beautiful late afternoon, early evening LA walk. The light is perfect. We're enjoying the stroll. We haven't seen each other in a while. We're catching up. The jacarandas are in bloom right now.
Yeah, they're really pretty purple.
They're purple. They're beautiful. The bougainvillea, the jasmine is out. Beautiful evening. I've set the scene. Go ahead, Mike. Say what you did.
There was one of those Postmates Uber food delivery robots coming down the street about stroller size, and I stopped, and it stopped. And then I moved around it, and as I moved around it, I go, why do I have to get out of the way of a robot? It should be getting out of my way.
I do not disagree with your sentiment, but I was like, wow, it's such a nice night, and this thing is just not a sentient being. I think that guy 6 feet away from it is driving it.
Yep.
So
Drive it around me.
You were actually yelling.
Drive that bitch around me.
You were
then.
actually yelling at him, who was like the guy with like a Hot Wheels, basically a giant.
Yeah.
You know.
Or everything about it is wrong. Between a man walking next to a robot doing a job.
Yeah.
That I have a problem with because that is like when you're training somebody to
take your job.
To take your fucking job and then you get fired. Like that's what it represents to me.
Right.
Huge problem with that. And also, why am I getting out of robots' way?
Oh man, do you get mad at people who ride their bike on the sidewalk?
No.
Do you
In fact, when they yell at someone because they're allowed to be there, I respect them even more.
Oh wow, okay. See, we feel differently about that. If you have
robot compassion.
I was willing to walk around the robot, but if someone is driving their bike on the sidewalk when there's a street that's safe for them to be on, fuck out of here. No. Okay?
You think I should pick my battles better?
I don't know. I feel like you and I are just like opposites in every way. When you say like, I hate this and I love this, I'm like, what? That's the opposite
It's
of
because
me.
little things like me getting out of a robot's way will add up. And if you accept that, if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk. And if I move out of the way of the robot, next time I'm like helping it get its battery back in its side so that it can get where it needs to be. Not me. Not doing it.
Okay.
No robots.
Wow.
Yeah. I just think it's like little things like it not getting out of your way that is teaching us to like work for them.
I truly don't think though that in that moment it was the robot not getting out of your way. I think it was that the guy 6 feet behind it didn't shift it slightly to the left in a way that made you feel acknowledged. I really don't think it was like a robot was a jerk to me today.
You think it's user error?
Yes. I saw him. Like, and then you were like yelling at the robot and he was like awkwardly standing there with his mask wishing that he could blend into the tree. And I was like, oh, he's not really yelling at the robot. And you're like, why do I have to move? And I was like, ugh.
Yeah. All right, well, next time I'm looking him in the eye.
Yeah, yell at the guy.
I'll yell at the guy.
Yell at the guy. Poor motherfucker.
I know. Man.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, understood. But also, Fine, moving on.
Speaking of Postmates, what the fuck have you been eating while I've been out of town this whole fucking time? Because
Thick-ass bread and sauce.
I keep seeing your IG and I'm like mad about it.
Yeah.
I'm mad about your IG while I'm out of town and you're eating things and then putting them on there so I have to look at them.
Fairfax is one of the best restaurant hoods in the entire country as far as I'm concerned.
Ugh.
It's got everything from delicious Indian food like badmash to great pizza, vegan, Thai, chicken, Dave's hot chicken. It's the
Before you
great tahini.
Yeah, I just don't want to skip over Badmash and the conversation that we had recently when we were enjoying the amazing sag paneer from that place, and you were like, yeah, the sag paneer is so fucking good. I've never had tofu that tasted like that.
I was so blocked up the next day.
I was like, it's not tofu, dude. Paneer is not tofu. That is cheese.
Had I known, I ate like a block and a half of cheese covered in sauce.
And you were like, ooh, it's so good. And I was like, I know, it's so delicious. And then you were like, I've never had tofu like that. Yeah.
The next day, my stomach was so solid that I was like walking like in the shape of a cane. It was on point. I did not know that sag paneer was cheese.
It's so good.
It's so
got
good.
Homemade, fresh
Also, it's cheese, everyone.
Yeah. And definitely totally looks like tofu. Like, I 100% see why you thought that. Those white cubes?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Totally.
Yep.
Also, it's cheese.
Yeah, not tofu.
You know why it tastes so good?
Because it's cheese.
You know why that tofu tastes so good?
Fucking great. I made a cheese dish, baked ziti with meatballs when I was in Washington. That was, when I lifted it up, I actually like put my back out a little bit. It was so fucking heavy and so good with so much cheese. So I was.
That's awesome. Wait, did you make meatballs and put them in ziti?
Yeah.
What's the story? Because that's a pretty cool twist.
It was fucking awesome. My sister was like, I feel like I could eat a meatball. And I was like, oh, great. Okay, I'll make some meatballs. And then she goes, with baked ziti? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, she hooked you in. She jab.
Having never made ziti in my life, I've only eaten it at some fantastic restaurants. So I looked up two recipes, a Giada de Laurentiis recipe and a New York Times cookie recipe. I combined those two.
Damn.
I made the ultimate baked ziti with meatballs.
That sounds amazing.
The heft, it was large.
Let's go, because if you listened recently, we were talking about the lasagna you made and how great that was. It was half Italian and half Italian sausage, half beef.
Yep.
So what's the meatball recipe?
I did the same. I really like the combination of ground beef with a little bit of sweet Italian sausage, and that was the part from Giada's recipe where you like make all of the meatballs bite-sized and then you dredge them in flour and you really carefully fry them.
Dredge them in flour.
Yeah, it browns them nicer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then the fucking
breadcrumb?
Yeah.
Binder?
Yes, in the meatball, like not rolled in breadcrumbs, but yes. Binder was milk, egg, breadcrumb, and then there's like some garlic and parsley and deliciousness.
Awesome.
Dredge them in flour, fry them up, and then the ziti's, ziti. Tomato sauce, ricotta, bunch of fucking cheese, penne.
That was what I was gonna say. Like the difference between a wide flat lasagna and like a penne. Man, the forkful of a penne ziti is 10 times more satisfying.
I think ziti's the new lasagna.
Whoa! You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
At least for me and my two homemade versions. I'm sure that anyone who's actually knows about lasagna and ziti is probably fucking punch me right now. Well, I feel bad here now.
You just made a claim.
I don't mean to like make false equivalencies about pasta, but for me, baked ziti is the new lasagna. I'm going on record.
On record, huge. That's awesome.
Huge, big news.
The Grub Gazette is presented by OCB Rolling Papers, the largest rolling paper in the world.
And then it's like the spinning newspaper. Baked ziti is the hot new thing. Lasagna, get out of here.
Lasagna's got its trench coat on. It's kicking the air.
Take a hike. It's not like the little stick with the bindle.
Sauce is coming out of the bindle.
What are its feet? Are its feet like little noodles? Just, he's out of here.
That's
out of here.
That's so good. Cheese, mozzarella?
I used all of them. I got fresh mozzarella. I used pecorino romano. I had some parmesan.
Ooh.
I had some grated mozzarella. I feel like I might have even put a fifth thing in. Oh, and then there's ricotta and creme fraiche.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of
That sounds so good.
It was really fucking good.
I'm eating it. I'm like, there's so many types of tofu in here. Oh my god.
exactly. It was very healthy for you. And I made it with a spinach salad where the dressing, I just put it on fresh spinach, but it was so fucking good I could have drunk it like a fucking pint. It was red wine vinegar, olive oil, 2 kinds of mustard, garlic, shallots, and a bunch of maple syrup.
Damn, maple syrup.
Yeah, it was fucking great. The balance, all of it. I'll share the link in the show notes for that one, because that was like something that everyone should have in their back pocket.
Cool.
That spinach dressing, spinach salad dressing.
That's the kind too, with when you describe all of those things, I feel like those are always sitting around. Like that's kind of an always on hand type of.
If you make a jug of that, a jar of that, and just have it sitting next to your stove, I swear to God, I peeled off the saran wrap that I put over it and tasted it with a fork throughout the day while it, lasted.
Melded and all.
It was so good.
I just pictured you winning the NFL championship and they run over with the Gatorade jug and it's that dressing.
Salad dressing. I'm just like, fucking great. Yes, definitely
Carbonated
salad
ranch
dressing.
being shook in the locker room.
Infinitely preferable to disgusting, sugary, horrible. I hate Gatorade.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think of being sick.
Oh,
like
yeah.
sick in bed, when
Right.
you're not well and you have to like drink that electrolyte thing to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
That's what I associate with it.
I gotcha.
Blah. Give me salad dressing any day. I'd drink a pint of salad dressing over a pint of Gatorade any day.
What kind of an athlete are you?
I don't know. I hope a really fucking good, high-performing athlete who's just like super fit.
Yeah.
Like The Rock. I mean, he can eat like 5,000 or 8,000 calories a day or something insane.
Yeah, those cheat day videos that he does are pretty remarkable. Like, they're pretty remarkable.
Dude, you were just talking about seeing Padma Lakshmi's Everything I Eat in a Day video.
I'll hit that in the show notes too. This is one, especially because we should talk more about Top Chef. Maybe when the season is over, about how important this season is.
It's so good. If you're not watching, it's so fucking good. And I'd love to have some of the chefs, all of the chefs on anytime. So if you're listening, Top Chef contestants, get on here.
Yeah, I'll hit some up. Because this is important TV. It's weirdly for the restaurant industry and the way that they are bringing tons of different people onto the show, because places are opening back up and we need to get the word out that these restaurants and these people have people they need to rehire and jobs.
Yeah.
Like, this is job creation. This season of Top Chef is important.
It's paying a lot of attention to a lot of important shit, and it's so heartening.
Yeah.
Like, in every fucking way. And just, highest regards to Tom Colicchio and all of the production team for everything you're doing, and the great edit and all of it. It's got so much heart and it's great. So
and so the Padma thing is it's Harper's Bazaar. Everything I Eat in a Day is the framework, and it's Padma, and she goes through her day talking about if she's on set, if she's not on set, how when she is on set, how she also maintains her body, is able to eat 14 things, and like what she chugs. So much tea, but the whole thing, like, it's so dialed in and it's so noshy and delicious sounding all day long. Go it in the show notes, baby.
Yeah, I love that. I can't wait to watch. I love that, like, there's just this weird... I was talking to my sis about it because she was like, I don't like cooking TV. And I was like, wow, that's so unfortunate because there's so much of it and so much of it is so good. But she was like, I just... So I love my sister. She was like, I don't want to watch you cook it. I just want to eat it. And I was like, fair enough. But I was thinking about it because there's, this... with the rise of the internet, so many cooking shows and then videos of people just eating stuff.
Yeah.
Like, from, world tours with amazing people like Anthony Bourdain to mukbangs, which are like...
That's my morning with coffee.
Fucking the weirdest fetish in the world.
Mukbangs?
Yeah, mukbangs, yeah.
You don't like them?
No, I think they're really upsetting. They upset me, in all of the ways of like... just wasteful, and I think the people who... It's like they're treating it like a fetish, and, it's not about the food. It's just about the act of like, it's like eating competitions. And I respect anyone who wants to do it, but it's not for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's the way to approach it, right? If you don't like something, you just don't watch it. There's a lot of things to watch.
I don't need to watch pimple popping videos if I don't want to, but I do.
And I hate them. I got tricked on TikTok. They tried something new in my algorithm because they were running out of videos within that algorithm for me. So they threw a wild card in there to see if I would click on it to add to my web.
Yeah.
And it was a pimple popper, which is, a fucking popular genre of algorithm. And boy, oh boy, it was a blackhead vid, and I couldn't swipe fast enough, and I saw like a little bit, and it just is not for me.
Yes. Don't watch that if you don't like it. It's very upsetting.
And you love it.
It depends. It depends on where I guess I used to a couple of years ago, maybe when I was going through something where I was expunging things from my life. It felt very satisfying to like watch some of that stuff. I definitely don't tune into it now. Right now I'm watching a lot of cooking videos and a lot of nature videos. Those are both very restorative for me.
Nice.
You know? Watching David Attenborough like speak about this wonderful creature here out in the savannah. And it's like, yeah, that's good.
Can I give you one more thing to say as him?
As David Attenborough?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
The ostrich, I'll say it like I'm from St. Louis. The ostrich is in the Sahara.
Hello, I'm David Attenborough, and today we're talking about the ostrich, which is in the Sahara, which is a terrible place for an ostrich to be.
Yes! Send him in, hit us in the DMs if you want some David Attenborough by Mary Jane.
I fucking love David Attenborough so much. He's so calming. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Of course.
Yeah. And my friend Allison.
He's like the opposite of Werner Herzog. Like,
well,
there's my back and forth.
Another very calming person to watch, though, if you're a nihilist.
Yeah, that's so true. I do love it.
Oh man, I wish I could do a good Werner Herzog impression because he's fantastic. But I have to say the David Attenborough thing. My friend Allison and I always used to do this bit where we would go. One of us would be David Attenborough, and the other one would be the animal that he was talking about. And we'd do a clown bit. There was a visual, but the David Attenborough character would go, "Hello, my name is David Attenborough, and today we'll be talking about the beaded boobie, which you cannot see because I'm standing in front of it." And then the person doing the boobie would be like trying to be seen, and David Attenborough would like always just move to the camera. And it was a visual.
It's a hot bit.
We had a lot of fun.
That's a real good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peeking around the boobie?
Yep.
Or yeah. We had a couple other things we had on this list of things that I was going to maybe talk about.
Let's hear it.
Well, because we were just talking about Fairfax and how much I love it.
Yeah.
But I did tweet, and hopefully it led to somebody being on the pod in July.
I'm so excited.
But I was talking about how upsetting it is that a la carte is the way of the restaurant because... I think some of it is because minimum wage is being raised. Like, there are not things in place to allow restaurants to fucking survive, especially the pandemic and coming out of it. And so a lot of restaurants, it seems like, are going a la carte because if you can get a burger for $13 and if you get fries, that makes it a $20 choice on your end. Mm-hmm. We need that 20 fucking bucks. Like, I got bills to fucking pay and we out here doing it.
Yep.
The flip of it for me is,
yeah.
Come on. A $13 burger, no fry? That's everywhere in LA. That is like the a la carte game. And I don't know if it's anywhere else, but when I tweeted it, many other places, especially in the Midwest, were like, what are you talking about? And it's because they know how to eat well.
Yeah, I would be so interested to learn what the actual cost breakdown of putting out like a gourmet fucking burger, or at least like a good burger like you're eating would actually be, especially when you take into account overhead, the fucking pandemic, the supply chain, the fucking meat, all of this stuff. If you actually did a line-by-line breakdown, it would be so cool if anyone knows where we can find this information.
I think you're right.
What that looks like in LA when you take fucking rent into account, or whatever it is. Like in LA, that's going to be a very high number.
Okay, so let me reframe it on that. These burgers aren't good enough.
Gotcha. That's
to
different.
be $13, which is
Heard.
what yes, we got there for me. Thank you.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's what I'm really saying is no to this. This is a 9.
Gotcha.
Know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is an 11.
Mm-hmm.
This is an 11, but 13, it's a difference for me.
Yeah, spending $13 on a plant-based burger does feel exorbitant for sure. But that's kind of, you just get used to it, I guess, when you're, when we eat out, I feel like, I definitely eat out way too much. I order a lot of sweet greens and I walk down Melrose when I'm here in LA and like order expensive salads, whatever the fuck, trying to make myself feel better. It's been really nice to cook in Washington because there isn't anywhere to order from and I've just been cooking all the time. It feels fucking great.
It does.
Yeah, I miss it. Not that you and I don't cook. We definitely cook, but we will like make it occasion cooking, I feel like, because we're, that's how we're living right now, as opposed to cooking every night, which has been really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, what else did you? Oh, you made it's the fucking strawberry shortcake.
I made strawberry shortcake, which is so easy, and it's like the most beautiful classic dessert, and it took 20 minutes. On Top Chef, it would have taken them 7.
Yeah.
It's the baking time of the biscuit is how long it takes.
Oh, fuck.
That's
I
it.
wasn't even thinking of strawberry shortcake, right? Because I was thinking of it as a sponge cake underneath.
No.
But you made the biscuit version.
Yeah, just
Yo,
like a sweet
Mary
biscuit with
Jane.
some fresh whipped cream and some sliced strawberries that are lightly macerated in a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of sugar. So fresh, so delicious. Excuse me, so fucking good.
You just swallowed so hard. Your soul got hungry for that. That was wild to see. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be on YouTube. We're just gonna drop it. If you want to see Mary Jane's soul swallow, that was crazy.
Strawberry shortcake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good you'll swallow your soul will swallow.
Yeah, it was that fucking good. Yeah, I just made a bunch of homey, comforting food, which is, what I'm all about right now.
Yeah.
Definitely as I'm up there. It's just nice, and I feel like I want to do more of that with you.
Same. I'm down.
Okay.
Plenty of time to have
I
fun.
will so hold you to it, though.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I want to drop some recipes. I feel like,
Yeah.
goddamn, yo.
I mean, you cook at midnight here by yourself, and
Yeah.
I know that you do that. I'm just saying, I want to hang and cook with you.
Oh.
Instead of just
See, I thought you meant competition. I didn't know you wanted to hang out.
Oh my god!
That's who we are.
Just hanging out, Mike. You're like, oh, you want to fight? Okay. I'm like, no, dude. I just want to hang out and have a good time.
Cool.
Cool.
Also down for that.
Great. I choose that one.
Cool, me too.
Oh my
shit.
god.
You want to do Buds of the Week?
Yeah.
Let's do Buds of the Week.
Okay, you gonna go first or second?
Ooh, I could go either way with this one.
I'll
How
go
about
first.
you?
I'll go first. My bud of the week this week is Mike Targus at Web Cruise on IG. Mike has an incredible series called Only the Interviews, where a skeleton interviews an entire cast of characters. And you did an episode a while back, Mike.
Yeah, and Paul Walter Hauser, who's in Cruella.
And Andy Dick just did one.
And you did one.
And I just did one. And it just dropped, and you can check it out on the YouTube. That's in his IG, which is at Web Cruise, Crooze. And I just had a great time. I tell a pretty true story with a couple of embellishments. And a skeleton is the host. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And yeah, he's just really cool. Check him out and follow everything he does because he's very fucking funny and super talented.
Yeah.
And the Andy Dick episode is a wild time.
Yo, that dude goes for it.
Yep. Yep,
Cool.
the legend.
My Bud of the Week this week is at JP_Noda. JP_NODA, Noda. The homie, we finally met after quite a long time at a function this weekend. And when we were there, he had just put on his IG that he took a bunch of mushrooms and he looked so fucking happy on it. And I was like, man, that's cool. I'm going to go introduce myself and tell him that. And he said, thanks so much. And he gave me a little microdose myself. And then I took it that afternoon and had a wonderful walk.
That's the greatest gift you can give someone.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
nice.
Thank you so much. Follow him at JP_Noda and check out his podcast he does with another comedian named Frank. And it is at Peaked TV, doing it with Puffco.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yo, support some homies and
Yeah.
check out some new shit.
Cool friends.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. Wow.
There we go.
There we go. What a time. I'm so glad to hang and see you, Mike. Thank you for just, always elevating my day.
Yeah. Man, we just double boosted seat this week.
Yeah, we did.
That's cool.
Boop, boop. Thanks everybody for hanging with us. If you like our podcast, please check out our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/weedandgrub. Or if you have a second, we'd love it if you give us 5 stars and or leave a review on iTunes. It helps our podcast get out there to more people. And we just appreciate every 5-star review that is left. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.